Whether you realize it or not, you are constantly in conversation with yourself. From the moment you wake up to the moment your head hits the pillow, there's a voice inside you narrating your life, interpreting your experiences, and labeling your potential. That voice, your inner dialogue, is not just background noise. It's one of the most powerful forces in shaping how you see yourself and how you interact with the world. Every thought you think and every word you silently say to yourself has energy. That energy either builds you up or breaks you down. For most people, that inner voice has gone unchecked for years. It repeats old beliefs, outdated fears, and stories that might not even be yours to begin with. Things absorbed from other people, childhood, society, or past failures. And over time, that voice becomes your default setting. Think about it. If every single day you're silently telling yourself, I'm not smart enough, or I'll never make it, or why even try, those thoughts begin to shape your self-image. You might not notice it right away, but your actions start to shrink to match your beliefs. You stop reaching, stop dreaming, stop stepping into your full potential, not because you couldn't, but because your inner voice convinced you that you shouldn't. But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And once you realize that, you gain the power to choose what kind of inner voice you want to have. You can rewrite the script. Start by becoming aware. Catch yourself in the act of negative self-talk. Notice when you're being harsh, impatient, or judgmental with yourself. Ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? If not, why am I saying it to myself? Then make a conscious decision to speak with intention. Your inner voice can become your greatest coach instead of your harshest critic. You can teach it to say, you're capable. You've done hard things before. You're not behind. You're building, and this is just the beginning. Because when your inner voice begins to believe in you, everything changes. Your confidence rises, your resilience grows, you start showing up differently, taking risks, chasing goals, and handling setbacks with strength. That's how powerful your inner voice is. It can either keep you stuck in the same place for years, or it can be the fuel that launches you into your next level. Most of us don't even realize how often we tear ourselves down. It becomes automatic, like background noise we've gotten used to hearing. We make a small mistake and immediately our inner critic jumps in. That was so stupid. We compare ourselves to someone else and say, I'll never be like them. We face a challenge and think, I'm not ready and not good enough. These thoughts might feel harmless in the moment, but over time, they create mental walls that block growth, confidence, and clarity. Negative self-talk isn't just discouraging, it's destructive. It slowly eats away at your self-esteem, robs you of motivation, and creates fear where there could be courage. When left unchecked, it becomes a loop, replaying the same limiting beliefs until they start to feel like facts. But they're not facts, they're just thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. To change them, you have to become intentional, you have to interrupt the pattern and insert a new one. Every time you catch yourself saying something negative, whether it's I can't, I always mess up, or I'm not enough, stop and challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this absolutely true, or is this just a fear disguising itself as a fact? Then reframe it, replace it, Don't just try to stop thinking negatively. Start thinking powerfully. Turn, I'm terrible at this, into, I'm still learning and I'm getting better every time I try. Turn, I don't belong here, into, I earned this. And I bring something unique to the table. This isn't about lying to yourself or pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing a more constructive narrative. It's about being your own ally instead of your own obstacle. The goal isn't blind positivity, it's empowered thinking. It's giving yourself the same encouragement and support that you'd give to someone you care about. Think of your mind like a garden. Negative self-talk is like weeds. If you don't pull them up, they'll take over. But when you start planting seeds of belief, strength, and hope, that's when the growth happens. That's when you create a mental environment where your goals can actually take root and flourish. And yes, at first it might feel strange. If you've been criticizing yourself for years, positivity might sound fake. But the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. It's like building a muscle. You get stronger with repetition. Words are not just sounds. They are carriers of meaning, emotion, intention, and energy. The words you speak, especially the ones you speak to yourself, have the power to define how you see the world, how you see others, and most importantly, how you see yourself. Every sentence you silently repeat becomes a thread in the story you're telling about who you are and what's possible for you. Over time, that story becomes your reality. Think about how differently you act when you say, I can handle this, versus when you say, this is too much. Those are just words, but the energy behind them, completely different. One opens the door to solutions, courage, and progress. The other slams the door shut with fear and overwhelm. When you constantly tell yourself, I'm tired, I'm stuck, I'm not motivated, I'm unlucky, you begin to create an internal environment that supports those conditions. You start to notice more evidence of your limitations. You feel heavier, more disconnected from your goals. Your mind starts scanning for reasons to justify the negative narrative. That's how powerful language is. It directs your focus. On the flip side, if you shift the script to, I'm finding my rhythm, I'm making progress, I attract good things, getting stronger every day, your reality starts to reflect that. You begin to notice opportunities instead of roadblocks. You respond to setbacks with perspective instead of panic. You carry yourself differently, and people respond to that energy. Your words are instructions to your subconscious mind. What you say consistently becomes what your mind believes, and what your mind believes it looks for, works toward, and reinforces. If you keep saying, I always screw things up, your brain will find moments to prove that to you. But if you start saying, I'm capable of learning, adapting, and succeeding, your brain will start collecting evidence for that too. And it's not just the big declarations. Even casual phrases like, I'm always broke, or I'm just not good with people, or nothing ever works out for me, can subtly program your mindset to accept those limitations as truth. What you say out loud eventually becomes what you believe internally. What you believe internally shapes your habits, your expectations, and your outcomes. This is why being intentional with your words is a form of self-respect. It's a way of taking ownership of your life. Instead of letting old patterns or unconscious negativity dictate your vocabulary, you start speaking in a way that aligns with the future you want to live. You use language that lifts you, fuels you, and sets a higher standard for how you show up, not just to the world, but to yourself. In a world that constantly pushes the idea of perfection, flawless results, instant success, no room for error, it's easy to fall into the trap of being your own worst critic. You beat yourself up for not being where you thought you'd be. You replay your mistakes like a broken record. You compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel and convince yourself that you're behind. But here's what most people forget. Progress is not a straight line, and grace is just as important as grit. Giving yourself grace doesn't mean you're making excuses. It doesn't mean settling or avoiding growth. It means recognizing that you are a human being, not a machine. It means understanding that growth comes in seasons, that healing isn't always linear, and that sometimes rest, reflection, and compassion are what actually move you forward the most. You will have off days. You will get tired. You will make decisions that in hindsight weren't the best. And that's okay. You're allowed to be a work in progress. You're allowed to learn through experience. No one becomes extraordinary without falling, failing, and getting back up again over and over. But what keeps most people stuck is not the failure itself. It's the shame they attach to it. The harsh inner dialogue that says, you should have known better. You're not cut out for this. You messed everything up. That shame becomes a heavy weight. It creates fear around trying again. It steals the joy out of the process, and it disconnects you from your own ability to grow. Giving yourself grace is about breaking that cycle. It's about replacing judgment with curiosity. Instead of saying, why did I screw this up? Ask, what did I learn from this? Instead of saying, I'm so far behind, remind yourself, I'm still in the game. And that counts for something. It's understanding that even in your so-called setbacks, you are building something. You are developing resilience, wisdom, and emotional strength, qualities that can't be rushed and can't be faked. Grace also means honoring your current capacity. There will be days where you're not operating at 100%, and pushing harder isn't the answer. Listening to your body, honoring your limits, and giving yourself time to reset. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Self-compassion fuels long-term growth far better than self-punishment ever could. When you give yourself grace, you create a safe space within yourself, a space where you can try, fail, learn, rest, and try again, without fear of being torn apart by your own thoughts. And in that space, you'll find that you're capable of far more than you ever gave yourself credit for. You become what you consistently think, say, and believe. And one of the simplest yet most powerful tools to shift your mindset is the use of daily affirmations. Deliberate, positive statements you speak over your life to reinforce your strength, your worth, and your potential. They are more than just feel-good phrases. When done with intention and repetition, affirmations become mental training. They reshape the narrative you've been telling yourself, sometimes for years, and help replace fear with faith, doubt with confidence, and confusion with clarity. Here's why affirmations matter. Your brain is listening. Your subconscious mind is incredibly impressionable. It doesn't filter for what's true or false. It takes in what you feed it and then begins to build your reality around those beliefs. If you constantly affirm, I'm always anxious, I can't focus, nothing ever works out for me, your subconscious will do its job. It will help you find evidence to prove those beliefs. It will make those thoughts feel even more real and limit the actions you take. But if instead you start saying, I am calm and in control. My focus gets stronger every day. I am aligned with success. Your subconscious starts to shift. It begins seeking proof to support this new narrative. You begin to act differently, think differently, and respond differently because you've created a new foundation for how you view yourself. Affirmations work because they interrupt the automatic patterns of negative self-talk. Most of our thoughts each day are the same ones we had yesterday. They run on loops, especially the critical ones. Affirmations break that cycle. They are like small, powerful anchors that bring you back to intention, back to possibility, back to truth. And yes, at first they might feel awkward. You might not believe them. Saying I am confident while you still feel insecure may feel like pretending. But affirmations are not about pretending. They're about programming. Think of them like seeds. You plant them with your words, you water them with repetition, and eventually they start to grow in the form of belief, action, and transformation. What matters most is consistency. Just like going to the gym once won't change your body, saying an affirmation once won't rewire your mindset, but saying it every day, especially when you don't feel like it, is how the shift begins. Speak them in the mirror, write them down, say them before bed or when you wake up. Say them when things are going well, and especially when they're not. Some of the most powerful affirmations are simple, grounded, and strong. I am enough. I have what it takes. I am allowed to take up space. I am aligned with the future I desire. I trust the timing of my life. Every day I become more of who I'm meant to be. These aren't just words. They're tools. They're reminders of your truth when your fears try to speak louder. They're small declarations that over time can lead to big internal changes. They don't instantly fix everything, but they can shift everything. Your mood, your direction, your momentum, your belief in yourself. Behind every goal, every achievement, every comeback story, there's a mindset that made it possible. The difference between people who consistently grow and those who stay stuck is rarely talent, luck, or circumstances. More often, it comes down to how they think. Because mindset isn't just a buzzword, it's the lens through which you interpret every challenge, every opportunity, and every moment of your life. And the way you think determines the way you act. Let's break that down. When you approach life with a growth mindset, you see failure as feedback. You view obstacles as part of the process, not proof that you're unworthy. You bounce back faster, you adapt, you stay in motion. But if your mindset is rooted in fear, insecurity, or self-doubt, you start holding back. You hesitate to take risks. You avoid discomfort. You talk yourself out of things before you even try. And even when opportunities do come, you may not recognize or reach for them because your internal beliefs are keeping you small. Your mindset influences your energy, your effort, and your endurance. When you believe that something is possible, even if you don't fully know how yet, you're far more likely to stay consistent, to keep showing up, to push past resistance, and that consistency creates results. But when you tell yourself it's too hard, this is pointless, or I'm not the type of person who succeeds, that belief alone is enough to sabotage your progress, no matter how capable you actually are. That's the tricky part. Your mindset can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're going to fail, You'll unconsciously make choices that lead you to failure. If you believe you're stuck, you'll overlook the solutions and possibilities right in front of you. But if you believe you're resourceful, resilient, and capable of change, you'll start acting like it. And your results will reflect that shift. What's also important to understand is that mindset isn't something you're born with. It's something you can build. It's like a mental filter that gets stronger, sharper, and more supportive the more you use it with intention. You can rewire your thinking. You can upgrade the way you respond to challenges. You can shift from a mindset that keeps you surviving to one that helps you thrive. Start paying attention to the thoughts you entertain the most. Are they thoughts that expand you or thoughts that shrink you? Are they filled with possibility or with limitation? Are they guiding you toward action or keeping you in avoidance? Because at the end of the day, the stories you tell yourself, the ones you repeat in your mind, often without even realizing it, are the foundation of the life you build. Your habits, your relationships, your success, your confidence, they're all connected to what you believe about yourself. And that belief is shaped by mindset. A strong, resilient mindset won't eliminate challenges, but it will completely change the way you navigate them. It will push you to keep going when others quit. It will help you turn rejection into redirection. It will allow you to face uncertainty with courage instead of fear. It might seem unrealistic that just 3 days of speaking to yourself differently could have any significant impact. After all, we're used to thinking that change has to take months, even years. But here's the truth. Change doesn't always require time. It requires intention. And when that intention is applied with focus, emotion, and repetition, even a few days can ignite a powerful internal shift. The way you speak to yourself over the course of 3 days, if done deliberately, consciously, and with belief, can start rewiring patterns that have been running on autopilot for years. That's because your brain is constantly adapting. It's always learning, always responding to the inputs you give it. And when you disrupt the old narrative, even temporarily, you begin to create space for a new one to emerge. Think about how much damage can be done by just 3 days of harsh self-talk. 3 days of telling yourself you're not good enough, that you've wasted too much time, that your goals are out of reach. That's enough to drain your energy, cloud your thinking, and convince you to quit before you even get started. Now flip that. What if for 3 days straight you did the opposite? What if for 3 days you woke up and the first thing you said was, I've got this? Instead of, oh, another hard day. What if every time doubt crept in, you met it with, I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm moving forward? What if you caught yourself every time you were about to criticize your progress and instead chose to speak words of encouragement, belief, and compassion? This isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about consciously choosing what kind of energy, language, and belief you want to bring into your day. Because what you feed your mind is just as important as what you feed your body. And 3 days of nourishing thoughts can begin to plant seeds of hope, motivation, and clarity. 3 days of affirmations, of intentional language, of shutting down the inner critic and turning up the inner coach. That can give you your first glimpse of the version of you who doesn't just survive, but thrives. It gives you proof, even if just a spark, that you can feel different, that you can think differently, and that you are not stuck. What often keeps people from changing is the belief that it's too late or too hard. But 3 focus days can break that illusion. It shows you what's possible. It proves to you that your mind is not fixed, that your patterns are not permanent, and that even the smallest shift in perspective can create a ripple effect into your actions, your mood, your choices, and your momentum. And no, 3 days won't erase years of self-doubt, but it will give you a powerful head start. It will interrupt the narrative. It will give you something to build on. So here's your challenge. Talk to yourself like this for just 3 days. Just 3 days of being intentional with your words, of replacing self-doubt with self-belief, of speaking to yourself with strength, patience, and purpose. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to shift the conversation happening inside you. Because the truth is, you're already capable. You're already worthy. You just need to remind yourself. And when you start doing that, day after day, you begin to unlock the version of you that's been waiting beneath the noise. 3 days can spark something. It can light a fire. It can begin a transformation. So start now. Talk to yourself like someone who's going somewhere, like someone who refuses to settle, like someone who finally realizes that the voice they listen to the most has the power to shape everything. Speak life, speak courage, speak truth, and watch what happens.